Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and get started. I first want to welcome everyone for attending today and thank you so much. This is a major discussion on our leadership certification program within the College of Business. I'm Shelby Rodriguez, Marketing and Communications Coordinator within the college. And my guest today is Mr. Jeff Dyson. He is Program Director. And our goal here today is just to answer any questions that you guys may have as they relate to the leadership certification program. Okay. And just for your knowledge, your mics are turned off as well as your videos to ensure your privacy and to kind of tune out any background noise. Now, if you have any questions, you can feel free to use the chat box down below and you can either message myself. Oh, hi. Thank you so much. Welcome. Thank you for attending. As I was saying, you guys can use the chat option down below if you have any questions throughout the presentation, and either myself or Mr. Dyson will be available to answer them for you. Our Assistant Director of Graduate Recruitment, Stephanie Broussard, she's not in with us today, but I'm going to include her contact information at the end of the presentation, so you can also reach out to her if you have any questions about the certification. Now, we are recording this session and it will be available within the next few days at lamar.edu/visit. You can go under our archive sessions and this will be closed captioned as well. We did invite a lot of students to attend the session today, but we're going to do our best to answer as many questions that we can and get the information to you guys that you definitely need. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Dyson, did you want to say a few words and introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure, I'll do that. I'm going to get my slide deck up. Actually, going to have an introductory slide. I call it my logo bio. Can you guys see my slide deck?
Yes, sir. I can see it. We're good to go.
Perfect. Just making sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing. So I am the program director for graduate programs, MBA, and certificates here at Lamar University. I'm very excited about presenting our content and some of what we do today. I'm one of these people that got to live the dream. I'm a Lamar College of Business alumni. I got to own and run my own company for 30 years. I got to pass that company on to my next generation children who now have the 80-hour-a-week job that I used to have. And I've been privileged to sort of come back to my alma mater, Lamar University, and teach and give back and direct this program, and I love it. And as a result of my good fortune in my graduate management education at Lamar, I've been affiliated with a number of companies in different industries with respect to being a board member in corporate governance. So just briefly, so you know a little bit more about me, the company that my family owns that I passed on to my children is M&D Supply. We're a regional hardware and industrial supply company, privately owned, family, mom and pop, but pretty good size as mom and pop companies grow. We got 7 locations, about 250 employees. We do quite a bit. We're a good sized player in our industry in terms of independently owned businesses. Companies I've been involved in include, I'll just go from top left and move to the bottom and over to the right. Include this company called Triad Systems, Silicon Valley company, a technology company, Mid-South Bank, a publicly traded bank. I was on their board of directors for 5 years, some of those years during the financial crisis. Very interesting experience for me. On the right side, hardware distribution company that I was on the board of directors of, and then 2 healthcare systems, which I am part corporate governance for presently. Baptist Hospital, which is a regional acute healthcare hospital and system, and then Community Hospital Corporation, which is located in Plano, Texas, and that company has they do hospital consulting across the nation. They have post-acute care facilities. They have a GPO, which is basically a supply chain operation and so forth. And And, I guess all that to say, I've just been privileged again as a function of my graduate management education and other factors to have a courtside seat to some pretty interesting times, particularly in banking, as I said, in during the financial crisis, and today in healthcare. It's just amazing the challenges that these companies went through and are going through. And those, in addition to my own, I just know very clearly and very specifically how graduate management education makes you a better decision maker, a better analyst, makes you a better person, gives you a greater degree of confidence in yourself, and competence in terms of your ability to perform as a manager or a leader. I thought I'd also share a slide from a conference. Obviously I'm an employer. My family business, again, has about 250 people in it. I've hired and developed thousands of people over the years in my job, as my role as a CEO. And I recently sat in a conference where a Texas Workforce Commission economist spoke to a group of employers like us, like my family, and talked about what employers are looking for. And so I thought this was a very appropriate slide to share with this group today, in that a lot of what employers are looking for has to do with the things that we teach here in the business school. And I'll relate this to you from a couple of perspectives as you look at the slide. I went to a conference for graduate management education has an industry group. So many industries have their own industry group. The industry group for graduate management education is an organization called GMAC, Graduate Management Admissions Council, and they have annual conferences. And so a couple of years ago, I happened to go to a GMAC conference where their presenter validated what you see on the screen, which was what this economist presented to this group of employers. And basically, we're on the cusp. Despite the current situation that we are in, challenging situation, we're on the cusp of an unprecedented demand for management talent. This person that did this presentation was a talent management trends professional. This person had been researching and writing about it his entire career. And he said, we're on the cusp of an unprecedented demand for management talent driven by three major factors. And he used the acronym GDP. And so if you ever read business literature, or you go to business school, or you hear people speaking business, you'll often hear of GDP as a reference to gross domestic product. Well, in this case, it was not a reference to that. His GDP was the GDP that's going to drive the unprecedented demand for management talent. Is the G is globalization. So if you look across the world, capitalism thriving even in non-democratic countries. The second, and that calls for management talent. The second thing, demographics. So if you look at, not just in America, but across the world, if you look at who is leading companies, they are generally what we would characterize as baby boomers, folks that are my age. And behind those baby boomers, and again, not just in this country, but globally, are a very thin pipeline of what you may have heard referred to as Generation Xers. Very, very small generation, not enough numbers to replace the baby boomer generation when it retires. And so, that calls for leadership, opportunities and challenges for leadership for millennials up to a decade earlier than my generation was able to experience them. And so you've got globalization, demographics, and the third thing is proximity. And he said, I'm all over the world. I've been doing this a long time. And he said, there's so many places that business could thrive across the globe, but the missing ingredient is management talent. So if you take the GDP, the globalization, proximity, demographics, and proximity, then you have a formula that he suggested was going to catalyze this unprecedented demand for management talent. Okay, and so his charge was, and again, remember, this is the industry group of graduate management programs. You guys as programs need to get millennials ready to lead, because they will have the opportunities and challenges of leadership up to a decade earlier than perhaps your generation did. Okay. Now, what are employers looking for? If you look at this list, okay, a lot of it has to do with soft skills. So I want to tell you guys a story that I hope you won't relate to my bosses at Lamar, because it could really put my job in jeopardy. And that is, here in the College of Business, we often bring in alumni that have gone through our college, have gone through our programs, and they've become successful. And so they come back to our college and they tell their story and they inspire our students. And when they come by, we generally will grab them as faculty. We'll grab them for an hour and a half, and we have something called a colloquium. Now, a colloquium is just a fancy academic name for a conversation. We just talk. We talk to this person. And so what do we talk about? Well, we ask them, what did you wish you had in school that you didn't get? What should we be teaching? What are you looking for in terms of what you're hiring? What can't you get that we need to provide you? And so I'll never forget one day, we had a very accomplished speaker. This person was a president of a sizable banking system. And one of our statistics professors, during the conversation about, what are you looking for? And when you're looking for people, well, I'll just call this faculty member Dr. Statistics. So Dr. Statistics raised his hand and said to our speaker, hey, other than grades, what do you look for when you look at a potential employee, when you're trying to gauge someone's potential? And this particular speaker said, Dr. Statistics, I hate to disappoint you, but I really don't look so much in grades. And guys, that's what you can't share with other people when you're sharing what you have heard from me today. But really, she said, hey, I don't look so much for grades. I want good, hardworking people. I want people that are smart, right? I can find smart people. In fact, I can find someone that's generally smart, right? And put them couple technology with them. I think she said, I can add a $750 laptop to a person that's pretty good, and they can be successful in my organization. What I can't find is the things you're seeing on the screen, okay? The soft skills, okay? She said, I need people that can communicate with clarity and effect in the written and spoken word. I need people that are resilient. I need people that when they aren't successful or they fail will come back again and again. I need people that can put a team together and execute an operational objective. I need people that can rise above the petty human things that happen in an organization and lead that organization, keep it focused, and get things accomplished. That's what I can't seem to get. Can you teach that? All right. Now, so if you look at this list of what this economist presented to my employer peer group, you'll see a lot of these things, right? Communication skills, leadership, teamwork, an appreciation of diversity, the ability to manage and rise above conflict, professionalism, integrity, adaptability, stress management, problem solving, intellectual risk-taking, thoughtful reflection, the list goes on, right? And so that's a lot of what's in our graduate management curriculum here in the College of Business at Lamar, okay? So a few things about Lamar, if you don't know, in our College of Business, we're accredited by the AACSB. That puts us in the top 15% of business schools globally. Our programs are ranked high. We're ranked by agencies that look at business school programs. Our MBA, for example, in healthcare management is ranked number 28. Our full online MBA has been ranked as high as 19 by one agency. We're consistently in the top 300 business schools with Princeton Review. So we have a very good program. We thought about how we wanted to develop our leadership curriculum, and we thought about it very long and very deeply, in that we thought, what we probably would be wisest to do would be to partner with the leading, and we partnered with the leading corporate training development company in the globe. And so we thought, how could we package for college credit content that a successful company would use when they recognize up-and-coming management talent. Like, how could we take that content that companies spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to deliver to up-and-coming folks in their organizations and package it for academic credit? Could we do that, and if so, how? So we actually, about 10 years ago, partnered with Franklin Covey. Franklin Covey is, again, the leading corporate training management development company in the world, and we developed a partnership with them. So we've taken their world-class corporate training content and we packaged it for credit in an academic setting where we have assessment and assignments and grades that go on transcripts and things that we need to do to create the academic record for it. Okay, so just if you'll go through the slide with me. All right, so we're in partnership with Franklin Covey, who provides world-class leadership development curriculum. Most of our offerings have Franklin Covey content in them. We lead the nation in delivering this content for academic credit. We're first movers in this with Franklin Covey. We offer a graduate certificate in leadership, which is what we're here to talk about today, or a concentration in leadership as part of our Master in Business Administration program. We also offer it in a continuing education format for non-academic credit. So we actually also deliver the same content for companies throughout our region that want to develop leadership and management skills among their staff. Okay, so our content is accessible, affordable, and world-class. Okay, we are, our leadership certificate is designed to accommodate working professionals. So we are a night and or online program designed to accommodate people that have to juggle work, life, and school and try to fit school in there somewhere. So, so we have a number of delivery methods and choices. Our leadership certificate, which is 5 3-hour courses or 15 hours in total, can be as completed in as little as 24 weeks. And for those, most folks that go through our leadership certificate program will wind up using some of those hours in our MBA program, because we allow up to 9 hours to count towards the MBA. So often when people come into our certificate program, they really like the content, they want more of it, and they'll wind up doing the full MBA. Here's your textbooks. And these are really not textbooks. And so if you look at these books that I have on this slide, these represent our curriculum. And these also represent, if you had an up-and-coming manager, a typical up-and-coming manager or leader in an organization, and you were to go through their nightstand, if they're reading hard copy, or their digital reader, Kindle, if you will, if they're a digital reader, you would likely find this collection of content on their nightstand or in their digital reader. And this is very current, very contemporary literature with respect to management development. Some of it is been around a while and been refreshed. Some of it's just cutting edge and new. But these are the things that we use to teach from in our curriculum. And these are things that, again, an up-and-coming person in business would likely have on their nightstand or Kindle. All right, courses offered in our curriculum include personal leadership, which is based on this book. I'll talk back and forth. It's the book on the top left, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now just reintroduced as a 25th anniversary edition. And that is the best-selling management book ever. And so that's that personal leadership course. Team leadership is based on Dr. Covey's 8th habit book. It's called Great Teams, Great Leaders, Great Results. That's that class. And strategic leadership, that's the third one from the top, is based on this book up here in the top right, which is a very contemporary best-selling book. It's called 4 Disciplines of Execution. So it's not just about strategy and planning, but how do you actually get things done, get your most important things done in the midst of a distracting whirlwind that everybody seems to be facing at work today. So that's strategic leadership. Leadership and negotiation includes this book called, it's a #1 best-selling book on negotiation called Getting to Yes. So how do you get people that are not in agreement to agreement? That's what that book is about. We have a generic, if you will, human resource management class and an employment law class. Right? These other 2 books that I have on the slide include 5 Choices, which is part of our personal leadership class. We take a deep dive into productivity. What do productivity experts say about how you can be most productive today? So we get into diet, we get into brain science, we get into productivity systems, we get a little bit into technology, very contemporary, very popular. Speed of trust, if you go back to my my slide from my Texas Workforce Commission economist presentation, you might remember the word integrity. Speed of trust is included in our Great Teams course, which is part of that eighth habit. And today there's 3 big ideas about trust, right? Trust is no longer just a soft skill, it's an economic lever. In other words, almost everywhere you have trust, speed goes up and cost goes down. The second big idea about trust is that trust can be learned, right? The third idea about trust is trust is the #1 competency for leadership today. Okay, so the second one, where trust can be learned, you can go into a part of what we teach in our content. You can go into a low trust environment, since trust is behavioral, establish newer higher level behavioral norms, and bring the level of trust up in that particular group in which you work. All right, so that's just a quick summary of our curriculum and the courses we teach in our leadership certificate. And as you can see, you've got 6 courses to choose 5 from. They're delivered face-to-face and online. So some of them have options to be delivered either way. Some are only delivered online, some are only delivered face-to-face. We also, as I mentioned, have this leadership content as part of our MBA degree. So just a quick look at an MBA degree plan and how might that fit. So if you did the leadership certificate and you decided to stay around and do the MBA, or you decided at any point along the way that you want to do the MBA as well, then we put you in this degree plan. So this is an MBA degree plan, and it basically has 3 boxes. The top left box is leveling courses for non-business undergraduates. The top right box is what's called the MBA Core. Now, the MBA is a management degree. Okay, so you'll notice if you look at the core class list on the right, okay, almost every class has a managerial description, right? So managerial accounting, international business, managerial economics, managerial finance, marketing management, managerial decision-making, strategic management. That's our MBA Core. It's 7 3-hour classes. And our concentration in leadership would be 9 hours. So you're basically picking 3 from that list of 6. Actually, there's just 5 there. I need to add another class that can count in the MBA. So even though your leadership certificate is 5 classes, what can count in the MBA is 3 of those classes or 9 hours, right? So you can actually have a sweet spot where you're completing the leadership certificate requirements while you're completing some or up to 9 hours of your MBA requirements if you're concentrating in leadership, okay? One more thing about the MBA, and that is because of COVID-19 and access to testing centers and other dynamics affecting enrollments in MBA program, including ours, we have decided to waive the graduate management admissions exam for the MBA. So presently, The admission requirements for the certificate and the MBA are the same. So the admission requirements for the certificate are conferred undergraduate degree with a 2.5 cumulative or last 60-hour GPA. Okay, so I want to go over that again. Admission requirements for the certificate are 2.5 or better cumulative GPA, or will compute last 60 hours, right? MBA admission has been historically on a formula, which includes graduate management admissions test score. Well, again, we are waiving that for fall, and making that results in making the admission requirements for the MBA the same as certificate. So you can get accepted to the MBA program with simply a 2.5 or better undergraduate GPA or last 60 hours. So that is unprecedented for our program, probably a one-time offer, and application deadlines for the MBA are coming up pretty quick. I think we'll talk about that in a minute. And actually they end tomorrow. Right? So in case any of you guys are interested in MBA, I wanted to get that out for you, okay? All right, well, so that pretty well sums up our leadership certificate offering. So I'll pause and take any questions that you guys might have at this time.
All right, guys, I just want to remind you, if you have any questions at all, feel free to use the chat box down below. You can either message myself privately or use the general questions box. But Mr. Dyson, I want to know what makes this leadership program different from, let's say, other universities?
I think, you know, one of the things that distinguishes our program is this content in leadership. We are a national and global leader in terms of teaching the soft skills aspect of management. And when I got to Lamar and we started talking about, you know, my experience as an employer and the experience of others, as I shared with you, the presenter that said, hey, I don't look so much at grades, you know, I want soft skills, and I can, you know, smart people aren't that difficult to find. What's hard to find is people that have really, really good soft skills. And so our emphasis in the soft skill area is very unique, and people like our program, and when they go through it, they tell other people about it, and we've been able to grow as a function of that a lot on referrals. I think the other thing about Lamar, especially in the on-campus space, is our faculty student ratio is very low in terms of our face-to-face classes in particular. Our faculty is very attentive. In our online classes, which tend to be bigger classes, we've been doing online education, delivering online education for a number of years now. It's not new to us. You know, a lot of programs that, of course, every program has been impacted by COVID, and many are having to go online. Well, many programs are struggling because they just don't have the experience, they don't have the platform, they don't have the support staff. Lamar has been a leader in that area for some time. So I'm real proud of where we are and the content we deliver. And, you know, as testimony, my youngest son, who just, you know, is now running our family company, went through our program, and it's prepared him very well to be the next generation leader of our family business. And he would tell you the same. You need to unmute, Shelby.
I can't tell you how many times I've done that. Just got a great question. Someone asked, can seniors take MBA courses?
Yes, so if you are a Lamar student and you are a senior, the catalog allows you to take up to 9 hours of graduate work. So you could do leadership certificate hours, or you could do MBA hours, or you could do leadership certificate hours that count in the certificate and the MBA, right? You can do up to 3 classes, which is 9 hours before your degree is conferred. And we have a lot of undergraduate students that do that because in various degree programs, they will wind up with, you know, few courses to take, maybe in their senior year. And so they're looking to get, we call it early start. They're looking to get an early start on graduate school. And so they take advantage of that. So it's a great question. Unmute, Shelby.
We have so much going on right now, Jeff, with the pandemic and just a paradigm shift in businesses across the globe. And so, how can the leadership certificate prepare our students to take on the world as it's changing now? What's the benefit of this certificate?
Well, I would say, and that's just, I mean, I couldn't have paid you to ask a better question. I think when you're looking at our content, it's very timely, right? So the greater the change, the greater the challenge, the more relevant soft skills become, right? If you think about it, you know, when the pace of change increases, when the challenges get greater, the more what will separate successful from unsuccessful people will be the soft skills, the resiliency, the maturity, the emotional intelligence, right? You probably hear the word emotional intelligence used a lot. And, you know, an employer, I think, would define that is, you know, how do I handle my emotions? How do I handle the emotions of others? That's your emotional intelligence. And if you look at people that tend to come to the top in an organization, they're emotionally intelligent, right? It's not so much about having the answers and being the smartest person in the room. It's about asking the right questions and holding people accountable and having the tough conversations in a way that again, you keep the relationship. We teach our students how to do this. How do you have tough conversations around accountability where you keep the relationship and move that person forward, or you play the hand that's been dealt you, which is not what you always want to do, but you know you have to do it, right? And you develop skill in that area. And I think we're very unique in terms of our ability to do that as a program.
You know, I really love the flexibility of the program just because if you're a parent like me, you know, I'm looking for flexibility when it comes to choosing the right graduate program or certification program. And so the evening courses and online option, I think that's just perfect, Jeff. But does someone need to have a leadership background in order to take on the certification program? Do I need a degree in order to take on the leadership certification?
No, you don't. You know, that's where we get, that's where my most satisfying engagements with students have been, you know, especially, I'm sure folks listening to this can appreciate, you know, we have a big engineering school here, right? And we graduate some really smart people over there, right? And we graduate these people into industry, and they usually take a couple different routes, right? Route number one is, hey, I'm really smart. I'm going to create value as an individual contributor. That's my life. And that's how I'm going to serve human need. Right. And that's great. But then you have another group that's, you know, hey, I'm really smart. I'm an engineer, but you know what? I've been out in the industry for a while, and I know my formula of success is going to be somewhat a function of individual contributorship, but more a function of getting things done through others. Right. But I don't know how to do that because that's not, you know, I'm a technical person. I'm a scientist. I just have an engineering background. I've never been exposed to anything like this. And so those are the students I want to work with. Those are the people I want to work with, whether they come out of engineering or any other background or field, because when they experience our content, you can just see them change and they just get so motivated about, okay, this is how you get things done through other people. This is how you relate better. This is really how you succeed and create value. It's in community, right? It's not so much individually for that person, it's in community.
I love that, Jeff. Now, can you expand a little bit on the cost of the program?
Yeah, the Lamar is shockingly affordable, right? So certificate 15 hours, a little less than $7,500. MBA, we are well under $15,000 now, actually under 14, depending on how fast you go, right? But I always tell students that are thinking about graduate management education, right? And most students I talk to, or prospective students, are what I will classify as millennial generation people, and I always get challenged them to think, okay, think about the number of years that you have left to work, right? The shockingly affordable price that a graduate management certificate or degree is, the salary premium it can command over your lifetime, and it becomes a no-brainer. I mean, it's gonna pay you back. Think about globalization, demographics, proximity. Think about this unprecedented demand for management talent. And I say confidently to almost all our students, you know, you can't guarantee, right? I can't go out and run every student's life, but it's really, the ROI is there. right? As long as the desire is there. That's the thing. Do you have the desire to do this? Is this your thing? Do you want to do it? Is it going to feed your soul? Is it going to help you, your career? Or do you think it's going to give you more confidence and confidence as it did me? If so, it's really, to me, it's a no-brainer decision.
Are there any scholarships available for this program?
For MBA, yes. For leadership certificate, no. Okay, so certificates are not financially aid eligible. That's a great question. And there are not scholarships for certificate. But again, just to remind our audience, so many of our certificate students will do the MBA, and that's where you can get, you know, some scholarship money, right? Graduate Study Scholarship, just briefly, just since you asked, Graduate Study Scholarship goes to everyone that has a 3.0 or above that enters our program. So they're automatically on Graduate Study Scholarship. That's $1,000 a year. They're automatically on in-state tuition if they're out-of-state student. That's also a great value for them. There's a little bit, and they're financially aid eligible if they're MBA. And then there's a little bit of scholarship money that's available, competitive scholarship money every year. Not a lot. You know, graduate school is a little stingier than undergraduate in terms of scholarship money overall.
Okay. Now, Jeff, I have another question for you. Now, if I am transferring from another university, do you take transfer credit?
Yes, we will take, so if someone's been in another graduate program that's AACSB accredited, that is accredited by AACSB, so we understand the quality of it, transferring 6 hours to our program is relatively easy, okay? If they have graduate hours from another program that's not AACSB accredited, it's not as easy, but more times than not, we'll do it. We just need to see some syllabi, and we send it to our department. We ask them to compare the content with what we teach, make sure it's the equivalent rigor and so forth. More times than not, we're transferring those hours.
Now, speaking of requirements, do we require anything like resumes, references, or anything like that in order to join the program?
Just apply Texas, and then Lamar's going to ask you for some information, primarily transcripts.
Okay.
And right now, because of COVID, you know, we have other things that we require in the normal course of business that we're just not requiring right now, right? So it's just, it's couldn't be easier to get in than it is right now.
That is very true. That is very true. And again, I want to remind everyone the application deadline is tomorrow. It is tomorrow for our graduate programs. And we're still waiving the GMAT, right, Jeff? Still waiving the GMAT.
We are for fall admission only. And then we're going to take a look and see, you know, part again of the reason we did this was because the testing centers were, some of them were shut down. They were hard to access. And so we made that decision. We decided we'd stick to it through the fall. I would be surprised if we hold on to that in spring, but just don't know. I don't know. That's why I think now is a good time.
It definitely is a good time. And do we only accept fall applicants, or do we accept applicants anytime throughout the year for our programs?
Yeah, we're built in 8-week blocks. So we have a fall 1, fall 2, spring 1, spring 2, and summer in the graduate school here. So instead of, you know, many folks are used to a long semester fall, long semester spring, and a couple of short summer sessions. That's Lamar's undergraduate sequence. We purposely have 5, what we call starts, 5 8-week starts. And so it's rolling admission. Students can get in any time before an 8-week start, as long as they apply before a deadline. And very, very user-friendly that way. So you don't have to wait.
Now, guys, I do want to mention, I know Jeff touched on this earlier, but we, within the College of Business, we have our Michael G. Weinert Entrepreneurial Lecture Series. And that's when we invite those alumni members back to the university, and they'll talk to our College of Business students. So you guys get the inside track. And we'll also, like Mr. Dyson said, we have the colloquium with faculty, but we also invite a select group of students to have lunch with that alumni member. And so they'll get to ask those questions that you wouldn't normally be able to ask, let's say, a CEO of a company. You can say, hey, listen, What are employers really looking for? I'm going to be a recent graduate. How can I break into the industry? And so that's one of the perks that we kind of have within the College of Business. And not just that, we have the Center for Career and Professional Development housed within the Galloway Business Building. So you guys get that resource right there. You can leave from your courses and head on over there, get that help with your resume, job searching, any of those things. So you can go ahead and be ready to apply those leadership skills that you've learned in the program. And Jeff, I want to ask you, how can a student apply to the program?
Just apply Texas. Just go to Apply Texas, like you may remember doing undergrad if you went to school in Texas, and you pick leadership certificate. And, you know, I guess, Shelby, another thing I wanted to mention, because I was thinking about when you were asking about scholarship and so forth, and again, because it's just so user-friendly to get in now, if somebody's on the fence about, hey, I'm not sure if I want to do MBA or not, apply for the MBA, get accepted, and let's just put you in leadership classes, right? Now you're an accepted graduate student, and you're scholarship eligible, you're financially eligible. We'll put you in leadership classes, and then if MBA is not your thing, well, okay, we'll just continue on with the certificate. But if it is your thing, you've been admitted, right, and you've got all the other benefits that go along with that.
Okay, Jeff, it looks like we have one more question. If I am a senior and I'm interested in the early start for spring 2021 semester, who do I talk to?
Well, you're talking to them. So I think you can display my information before we get off, right, Shelby?
Yes. We're
just reach out to me by email, and we'll set up a time to talk. And for spring, we would just advise you for spring class or classes when the schedule comes out, which is generally September, October. But if you want to talk before then and look at what classes be available and so forth, that's easy to make happen.
That's right. And guys, I just want to remind you again, go ahead and get those questions in the chat box. Jeff, can you expand a little bit on the dynamic between the professor and the student with the leadership program? You know, is the class size huge? Do you kind of get lost and just become a number? How does it work, especially for those students who may be non-traditional and afraid to jump back out there? What's the dynamic like for students?
That's a great question. So I will say this, you know, I've been teaching here for, I'll just say, better part of 10 years. And I teach undergraduate and graduate classes. And I love them both, but I really love graduate classes. And the reason why is when I teach undergraduate classes, you know, most of the expertise and experience is in the front of the room. It's me, right? When you teach graduate classes, the experience is all over the room, because most of the folks in graduate school are early career stage up and coming professionals. So what you're talking about, they're facing those challenges every day, right? And most of them relate to human capital, right? And so that's the nice thing about graduate school. So, you know, for the most part, when you're in a graduate school setting in class, you're teeing up a topic, you're supporting it with some, you know, a video, a short lecture narrative, something like that, an exercise. We're giving our students many times, you know, COVID's a little different dynamic, but mostly they're in teams, they're in groups, right? So we'll tee up a topic, we'll support that with a video or some kind of thought leader narrative, and then we'll give a group an exercise where they kind of, hey, what shows up for you when we think about this topic? What challenges are you facing? How does the content we're covering relate to the challenge that you're facing? And then have them report out. And hey, that's where I learn. Right? That's what makes me better, right? As a business person, is to be in that context. So you're not just teaching, you're facilitating and you're learning with a group of folks that are, you know, up against the same problems that you are in business every day. And so that's it. Now, online classes are different, you know, and our program has grown significantly. And so we have online classes that have quite a few students in there, right? So how do we humanize them? Well, you know, instructors have different methods. For me, I use Adobe Connect. We're on Zoom right now, but I use Adobe Connect. So I'll do an 1.5-hour webinar every week when I'm teaching the personal leadership class that I teach, okay? And it's very interactive. because of my class size, I'll have this semester for the first time 2 instructional associates who've been through our program, and they are up and coming early career stage professionals, right? Rubbing up against the same problems that my family business is, that most of our students is. They're experiencing these things at work. They're professionals, right? They're not academics. And they're going to be great in the class, okay? And so the 3 of us are going to be able to create some pretty cool interaction virtually with the student population we're going to serve. So I'm really excited about our growth. I'm learning how to handle larger online classes. I know I can't do it alone. And so bringing in these 2 folks, which I know pretty well, what their industry background is, our students are going to love these people. And so I'm really looking forward to the fall semester. So it is different online.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. You know, I really want to thank you for joining us today, Jeff. Thank you for providing your insight and your knowledge on the leadership skills. Guys, if you have any additional questions, I am sharing our contact screen right now. And you can reach either myself, Mr. Dyson, for the program, graduate programs. It's MBA, leadership certificates. There's Stephanie Broussard. She is the Assistant Director of Graduate Recruitment. And so she can answer any admissions questions that you guys may have. Or if you have general questions about the university or the College of Business, you can reach out to myself. And as you can see, I have the application deadline there. It is tomorrow, so get those applications in. Thank you guys for attending with us. Thank you for coming, especially during this time. And again, this is recorded and it will be posted at lamar.edu/visit, so you can view it there in just a few days. But thanks, guys, for attending with us, and we hope you have a great day.